Monster the lead singer of every death metal band? I actually love the Cookie Monster, by the way. He was my favorite character on Sesame Street when I was a kid.
And now you get to listen to him on practically every single death metal record ever made in the last 20 years. Isn't metal great these days? Hey everybody, welcome to SMG Viewers Comments. Just chilling here at Spitfire Studios, and this episode is brought to you by Raycon. I'm gonna have a little word on that in a few minutes. Anyway, let's get right to it.
Hey Glenn, I would love to know where you get monitors for that price. I cannot find them. They are twice the price here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Oh yes, the great Canadian retail ripoff. I feel so bad for you guys having to deal with this shit back at home. I mean, I remember running into this back in the 90s even, you know, you go over to the States and get a microphone for $200, it'd be like $600 in Canada. Just like, what the fuck? How the hell is this right? Fortunately, as a Canadian, you can make purchases online and have them shipped. My advice to you would be go through Sweetwater, see if they can cut you a deal or get you a deal on shipping to Canada. You are gonna have to do a little bit of homework, and always remember, if you're shipping from the States to Canada, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, ship UPS ground. Always UPS Worldwide Saver or next day, that sort of thing. Always avoid the ground shipping because they will charge you a brokerage fee and you will really take it up the butt for that one. But seriously, shop around, shop online, because there's gonna definitely be a better deal for some Cali LP6s than what those scammers in Ottawa are trying to charge you.
This is bullshit. I hate cheap and I have expensive and good gear is better.
Well, you've got expensive gear, but apparently not a basic grasp of the English language. Good for you. I'm glad you have your priorities straight. Now, it's not saying that there's nothing wrong with having nice gear. Believe me, this is like an SSL console right here that Warren lets me play with from time to time, and it's pretty freaking amazing. And yes, I've got a Neve 1073 OPX at home. Absolutely incredible stuff, but it took me years to get to that point. We all start out with basic gear, and my whole point with that video I did a couple weeks ago was if you're just starting yourself out, don't hold yourself back, because the basic stuff we have these days is still pretty freaking amazing compared to the basic stuff we had in the 80s and the 90s. There's absolutely no excuse for not throwing yourself in full bore and just giving it everything you got when it comes to audio production these days, because you can really get some awesome stuff for not a lot of money.
As an electrical engineer, oh how right you are. That one common chip is the bottleneck. Electrically, there is no damn difference. You will never beat physics.
We're referencing that episode a couple weeks ago about not holding yourself back. We were talking about converters, and yeah, that's the thing. Most major digital audio converters are all using the exact same chip. The expensive ones, the cheap ones, doesn't fucking matter. Once again, stop holding yourself back waiting for better gear. Just start working on your skills, because that is the important thing.
This is fantastic. I'm a former music retail sales associate, and the first thing I'd recommend to recording noobs were books before expensive gear, and I always caught crap from other salespeople for it. Thank you for helping set the record straight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for writing that. That is the key. The gear is no longer the deciding factor in quality of recordings. It is the knowledge on how to operate that gear and find the sounds that you're looking for. That's the important part. And the only way to get that is through experience. So, get to it! All right, everybody, this episode is brought to you by Raycon. They sent me this set of everyday E25 earbuds to check out, which I've got in right now. And I gotta say, they're super comfortable. You can listen to them for hours on end and they don't get fatiguing or anything like that, which is great because I'm into podcasts and audiobooks. And of course, I'm using them as a real world system to check my mixes out on. Now, these things have a ton of bass, probably the most bass I've ever heard in a set of earbuds. In fact, I actually had to turn it down a little bit, right at about 150 hertz by about 3 dBs. But yeah, if you want skull-crushing bass in a set of earbuds, these definitely deliver the goods. I really like the fact that they pair up super easy with my phone, which is great because Bluetooth usually hates me and I'm usually scratching my head. Why the hell doesn't this work? This was a no-brainer to get going, so big thumbs up on that. These things start at about half the price of the competition, but we'll match them in sound quality. And what's really great is if you follow the link in the description below, you can get a 15% discount on the price. Head on over to buyraycon.com/Spectre Sound Studios and get yours today. Now back to the show. Guys, I'm so sorry there's no butthurt of the week this week. I did that episode about holding yourself back and everybody seemed to like it for a change. Wow. That's a first.
The reason they got Bob Rock in was because Lars wanted to copy the drum sound from Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood album, which they more or less did quite accurately. Gunn will be pleased to know there's an excellent Black Album-style snare sample in the Steven Slate trigger pack, no talent required, LOL.
This is going back to that Tutorial Tuesday I did about the whole Metallica Black Album snare and how we cooked it up with a completely different snare drum. Anyway, I'd like to make a couple notes about that. I know Lars Ulrich was a very big fan of the sound of Dr. Feelgood. That's well documented, but I don't think the Dr. Feelgood snare and the Black Album snare sound anything alike. I think Bob Rock really managed to find a really cool sound that was all of Lars's own, and Lars has never ever got that awesome snare ever again. Still one of my favorite snare sounds. Now about the Steven Slate sample pack. I understand there is a Black Album style snare drum in there. My question to you guys is, who do you think pestered the living shit out of Steven when he was cooking up his first batch of samples to get that Black Album snare sound in there? Take a wild guess.
Since you may come back on a project later, do you take notes about rack modules settings in relation to said project?
Yes, I used to take notes. I used to have negatives made up, just high contrast outlines of, say, my Empirical Labs distressor, so I'd remember the settings and write them all down with corresponding stuff. Nowadays, we can just take video. All you got to do is look up the dates. You can maybe rename the files, that kind of thing. Go, oh, okay, this is what I'm using on the snare here. This is what it's set to, all that. And it's all backed up on the cloud. Super convenient to do it that way. Highly recommend trying that out.
I caved and bought the producer bundle. Honestly, Glenn, I bought a lot of drum plugins based off your vids, and I could not be happier with them.
That's absolutely amazing. Again, back on that Black Album snare episode, the key to that sound was using the AIX plugins, and yeah, they're pretty freaking amazing, especially when it comes to tweaking out drum sounds. I don't think I've ever come across something quite so unique. I know AIX has some really cool stuff in development right now that I'm not allowed to talk about. All I can say is buckle your seatbelts. It's gonna be freaking amazing.
Glenn! I've been breaking in my Cali LP8s by playing 2 YouTube videos that claimed to do that. One was static and one was sine waves going up and down. Is this something you would recommend? Also, fuck you for making me a better engineer and musician.
Yeah, it kind of happens if you watch this show. I just recommend subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and watching Tuesdays, because we're now doing this series Tutorial Tuesdays where I show you guys all kinds of cool mix tricks, recording techniques, that kind of stuff. Kind of what this show was based around to begin with. And I would just want to make sure I'm doing at least one tutorial a week. So that's why we go with Tutorial Tuesdays. Now, as for speaker break-in, I don't know if I'm actually sold on that. Might be a little bit of snake oil in my opinion. Maybe when you're working with folded ribbon drivers like the Atoms, they might need to be broken in, or the Eves, that kind of thing. But when it actually comes to Silk Dome tweeters, not 100% certain. Some people say you need to break in guitar speakers. I kind of think that's bullshit, to be honest with you. I could be completely fucking wrong. I could be just off my gourd. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you guys. Do you think the speaker break-in thing is real? Because I've yet to see a test where somebody took a brand new speaker and reamped something or ran a signal through it for a couple weeks and then ran the same signal through it once it'd been quote unquote broken in to see just how much of a difference there is. I think there's far more larger influences in how you get, say, especially when it comes to guitar tones, than just how old the speaker is. Like moving the mic a millimeter or two, you'd be shocked how much that changes things up.
Hey Glenn, could you do a video on recording drums on a budget? 8 channels, 8 mics, and anything else needed. If you have levels of price that could be really cool, for example, £1,000, £800, £600, that would be awesome. I can't wait to get into recording drums. I can't afford 1,000 plus on gear. Cheers and fuck you from Scotland.
Oh, Scotland, the wonderful country where they shit down people's chimneys. I've already done something like that. It was called the $1,500 recording studio. I definitely recommend doing a little search in the bar there where we do an entire system for $1,500. But I can see us doing something like that in here where we take a $1,000 budget and try and record drums. Are we talking just mics, or are we talking interface as well? That's my question. There are some really cool, affordable drum mic packages. Samson's got one, as well as the T-Bone mics. I demoed those a couple years ago. I've still got that kit at home, and you can get some pretty passable results. If you've got the money, I definitely recommend saving up for the Lewitts, or at least get their Tom mics for get 3 of them for $300 because they're fucking stellar. Every bit as good as the Sennheiser MD421s. Maybe we should do even a Frankenstein kit where we try and find the best deals on mics for drums. Just what I'd recommend, pulling from different manufacturers. Actually, that might be a video worth making. Okay, great idea. Let's do that.
I find find some YouTubers incredibly unhelpful, just like the people on Gear Sluts. I watched this vid the other day, and this guy was, look at me, I'm so successful, I'm so great, I have a song on the Billboard 100. If you don't have this piece of gear, you're wasting your time. If you're not successful like me, you won't be successful. This guy's videos are so self-centered. He doesn't give you the info that is helpful. He might as well do jerk-off videos on Pornhub telling us how big his small dick is. You and Warren, on the other hand, give words of encouragement and helpful information to make our recordings better.
Well, Matthew, thank you so much for that. That really kind of makes the whole thing worth it. I do love hearing this kind of feedback that what we're doing is helping. That's kind of the idea. You know, Warren's a little more rock and roll. I'm a little more metal centric, but when I find out cool techniques, yes, I will definitely post them and pass them along. Here's the thing. I worked in industrial for 25 years. I don't have a mountain of hit records, even though, you know, Warren's got a couple of them on the back wall there. That's not me. I'm just like mostly everybody else out there, working out of a basement, working out of a garage, and doing the best records I possibly can with what I have available. The trick is you just gotta keep doing it.
I've often heard that quality converters were snake oil, so to speak, but also wondered what, if any, sonic effect or degradation one versus another has on audio. My primary allure is the expensive interface is UA Apollo's ability to assume some of the CPU workload. That said, they're so much more expensive than the PreSonus Quantum 2626 I'm also looking at. Diminishing returns seems worth considering here. I guess that's my real quick question. Supposing you were chasing a far-fetched dream of a career in mixing mastering, which would you buy? Quality monitoring and room treatment are given. Buy nice or buy twice, they say. Just not hip enough to conversion and such to know if it applies to interfaces.
Well, once again, most of them all use the same chips. The UA stuff is very nice. We've got a bunch of it in here. I'm recording onto an RME Babyface. Again, absolutely stellar stuff. But if you're holding yourself back from doing anything, get the PreSonus if that's what you can afford. At least get moving. You might want to upgrade in the future. There's absolutely that, but that should be no reason to hold yourself back in the meantime and start working on your skills, because ultimately it's going to be the skills that determine the sound you create, not your fucking recording interface. It accounts for about maybe that much of the sound.
I needed this video tonight. I've gotten zero self-worth, which is putting me off doing music. I keep thinking I don't deserve to charge people anything when I can do it for free instead, just because I can't seem to care for myself much. I feel like I'm my own worst enemy in life, but on the rare occasion I do find momentary boost of motivation, like this channel for one. I haven't been on the Discord much, but there is time when I was on there I got help from some nice people when I was expecting to just be looked at and an ignorant fool for not knowing how to use something simple. But yeah, that was a nice moment there. The Discord is a great extension of this great channel. I want to make music for video games as my occupation, and this channel helped me a lot. I feel shitty for using fake drums and MIDI instruments, but that's what I got. This has gone onto a dumb tangent I really don't know what I'm commenting on, but thanks Glenn, and thanks community for keeping it real.
Dude, so happy to help. So happy you got help on the Discord. That's the whole point. We don't look down on people if they don't know things. It's like, okay, we get it. You're new. Everybody's new at one point or another. We can point you in the right direction. Nobody's going to look down on you for asking questions. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just don't be a dick. You'll do absolutely fine. Apparently, I have to keep saying this. I rag on people for using MIDI drums all the time. But if you're stuck in a basement or a bedroom or an apartment or something like that, you don't have the space to do live drums, I get it. That's perfectly fine. Make music any way you can by whatever means necessary. There's nothing like that. The trick is don't stop there. Keep pushing forward and learn how to do real drums eventually, because that is where it gets interesting.
The best, most truthful line of the day. Those idiots need to shut the fuck up. Thanks, Glenn. Everyone always says, oh, the first 3 to 5 albums, insert your favorite band here, were the best. That's because most bands and musicians start off broke as shit and have to use what's available. Remember, kids, the talent and feel doesn't come from the gear, it comes from you. Do you think Tony Iommi started out with the best gear? LOL.
Dude, that's an amazing analogy right there. Yeah, the first 3 to 5 albums are always the awesome ones because people are fucking hungry and doing what they can with what they have. I really don't have anything to add to that, honestly. I think I'm in total agreement with that. All I can say is thanks for making that comment, and I'm happy to pass it along to everybody watching.
Maybe don't ask your singer, ask people from that culture. Glenn, that is one of the wisest things I've ever heard you say. Hell, that's one of the wisest things I've ever heard from someone working in the metal industry, period.
That goes back to a viewer's comments here a few weeks ago where we were talking about cultural appropriation and somebody's singer was a little bit nervous about touching it. Yeah. Here's the thing. There's nothing to be lost from asking questions. That's how we learn. If you're going to talk about elements of another culture in your music, yes, it's a great idea to talk to somebody from that culture. Ask them their opinion. Ask them, what do you think is cool to talk about? What's not cool to talk about? How do we do this? And be respectful to the source material. That's really what it comes down to, is being respectful. Now, the cool thing is when you start blending elements from different cultures, we can get new things, because rock and roll was essentially a blend of country and blues and became something unique. And then heavy metal became an extrapolation off that. It's a really fascinating history of the music and where it developed and all that. So I don't necessarily subscribe to the, oh, you're not from that, you can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. It's when we start sharing ideas, that's where we start getting really amazing music. And that's what's great about metal, is because people are taking it all over the world and incorporating their own bits from their own cultures into it. And I think that's absolutely fucking amazing. That's where some really cool shit happens. One band I come back to is a group from India called Bloodywood, and they had that track Ari Ari we checked out on Merciless Metal Mix Reviews there a couple weeks ago. That was just a big mishmash of a whole bunch of different things, and it was heavy as fuck. And it was really fucking cool and catchy. That's one thing I liked. It definitely had its own flavor, and I thought, you know what, more of this. That's fucking awesome. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for subscribing. You guys absolutely fucking rule. Once again, check out the Raycon earbuds. Links in the description below. You want to get that discount code? Yeah, they're bassy as fuck, and they're pretty cool. And if you guys want to get help, you want to get more information, and you just want to hang out on a cool community that I'm on from time to time as well, check out the SMG Discord. The links are in the description for everything below. And as always, make sure you hit that fucking subscribe button, the notification bell, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday mornings for Tutorial Tuesdays. Anyway, until next time, praise Chrome and crush your enemies.